Representative Rick Killan, a Mecklenburg County Republican, joins us to discuss term limits for every lawmaker.
That's right.
Why do you want to amend the Constitution to tell lawmakers it's time to go home after 8 years?
Well, Kelly, first of all, I believe in a citizen legislature. I always have. I'm very proud of the fact that I'm able to come here on behalf of my constituents and serve them. But I also believe that I should be able to go home and raise a family and maintain a business or complete the occupation that I have, do other things. I don't believe that we were sent here to be professional, or I should say, lifetime legislatures. And the way that the issue stands now, my understanding is that it would require a constitutional amendment, which we placed on the ballot. I believe the bill calls for 2012.
But what's to be said for the experience of being a lawmaker? Because there's sometimes good payoff for getting those gray hairs of life, and would this short circuit that?
I don't really think so. In my 4 years now, working in my third term, I found that, sure, the learning curve is very steep at first, and it really is overwhelming when you do get here, regardless if you're in the majority or the minority party. But it's not that difficult of a process, and I find that most legislators are able to pick it up fairly quickly. Many other states have done this, and they've actually have term limits of just 6 years, and what we're proposing here is a total of 8. And the other thing is that's just a point to start the discussion. So it may be a little bit less, it may be a little bit more.
Do you see it being an 8-year consecutive term of service before you would take a break? Is it a lifetime limit, or can you take a pause and come back to
Well, there are
office?
several ways to draft the bill, and I've got some other thoughts as to how it might be amended, but as it's written today, it essentially says that you're limited to 4 consecutive terms, which means, as you indicated, you could come back and serve again.
What changes about your perspective of what happens in North Carolina when you're in Raleigh several months a year?
If you look back, you find that it's very difficult for a person to maintain their life at home with respect to businesses and so forth. And so as a result, what happens is people begin to naturally, not any fault of their own, but because of the difficulty of having 2 different lives, gravitate to this one. And this becomes all-encompassing for them. And clearly there are advantages to incumbency. And if you look back at who comes back and who does not, there are advantages to incumbency. And I think what this does is it begins to level the playing field. After, arguably 6, 8, or even 10 years, a person who has been in office has an advantage. And I think it's fair to put that aside and allow another person from the district to come in and make a run at it. And you know what? If that member chooses to come back, they're very capable and willing and welcome to run again in a different chamber or even in the same chamber.
Representative Killan, thanks for being on the show this week to explain that bill.
Thank you.